All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Portland. The Trailblazers are one of the most unique teams in the entire NBA. I've already kind of talked about how I think that they're going to be kind of similar to next year's Toronto Raptors. Basically, Toronto played an entire season in Tampa, and they finished with 27 wins, got the 4th pick. Scotty Roy, a phenomenal player, and they already had a very talented roster. And look at them now; they're about to make some noise in the playoffs, and they've got a very bright future. So I kind of view Portland in a very similar situation. Injuries really just derailed this team immediately. Immediately, you had COVID, you had injuries, and it was just a mess. It was a mess. So Damian Lillard, he gets surgery, trade away a couple of players. Big, huge trade, trading away CJ. Nurkic goes down, get some good players back. You trade away Larry. There was just so much going on in Portland this season. So I do like a handful of players that they got back in all their trades. Eubanks has been absolutely phenomenal. I hope he's a part of their future. Josh Hart was phenomenal as well before they shut him down. Josh Hart literally averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in 13 or 14 games that he played with Portland. This is a very versatile guy offensively, very versatile guy defensively. He's a winner. He wants to win. He's literally there to do his role, do anything he can do to help you win a basketball game. And that's exactly players that Portland should be and is looking to acquire. So, I look at Hart, I look at, Eubanks, I even look at guys like Watford. I'm like, these are some pretty talented basketball players. There's this sense of urgency in the last 2 months, I'd say, with Portland, where a lot of these players are fighting for contracts. They're fighting to stay in the NBA. They're fighting for minutes, stay on the team, what have you. So it's been this pretty interesting blend of just a ton of different basketball players. Also, Justice Winslow, I really like that acquisition. I think he's a guy who can guard a lot of different players, a lot of different positions. He can play a lot of different positions. He's got very unique skill set. He's been getting better. When he played for Portland, he looked really talented. So you have 2 first-round picks this season, and Portland has barely won in the last 4 weeks or so. So I'm thinking Portland, if you get a top 7 pick, that's absolutely huge. Now, I've seen mocks, where Portland will get the 7th and 11th pick. I've seen mocks where they'd get the 8th and 10th pick. I've seen a bunch of mocks everywhere. Actually, before we get into that, if you guys enjoy this video, hit the like button, hit that sub button. Blazers, you guys have been giving me a lot of support every Blazers video I make. So shout out to Blazers Nation, and I appreciate you guys so much. So hit the like button, hit that sub button for more Blazers and NBA content every single day. But yeah, you're going to have 2 first-round picks. It's going to be interesting to see. Damn, Tiger just bogeyed. It's going to be interesting to see if they decide to, use both of them, if they decide to use them as trade bait. It's just going to be a really interesting offseason for Portland in general. You have 2 first-round picks. You have a very unique blend of players, guys like Nurkic, guys like Simons. Before they went down with injuries, they were having phenomenal years. Nurkic, I believe, had a career high in points, rebounding, and field goal percentage. He averaged 15 and 11 on the season. So they have the money. They made some moves mid-season, at the trade deadline to kind of clear up some cap, essentially, and we'll see what they decide to do. I've made some videos talking about Jeremy Grant. Apparently, Jeremy Grant apparently they actually offered, or they tried to trade him. They tried to acquire him at the trade deadline this season from Detroit, because Jeremy Grant, 28 years old, he just doesn't really kind of fit Detroit's timeline. Well, apparently Portland didn't give up enough. I don't think we know the specifics of the trade, but I wouldn't be surprised if Portland decides to try to acquire him again. It's gonna be a really interesting trade for Portland. Who are they looking for? Is it gonna be Jeremy Grant? I've seen Miles Bridges. If you get Miles Bridges, Portland's already immediately back to a threat, a contending threat in the Western Conference. If you get Miles Bridges, that would be absolutely unreal. This is a 17 and This is like a 19, 20, and 7 type of player who can shoot the 3 ball. He can guard. He can play different positions. He can guard different positions. Him and Damian Lillard in a pick and roll, I can already imagine how nice, and that would be lethal to stop, or very difficult to stop. That would be lethal offensively. I've seen TJ Warren. TJ Warren, keep in mind, this guy averaged like 27 points per game in the bubble just a couple of seasons ago. Before the bubble, he was averaging 20 points per game on 40% from downtown. So he's been injured for like essentially the last 2 seasons. So he's going to be I would say he's going to be one of the more easier guys to acquire from Indiana if you are looking to acquire him. I don't think it's going to cost that much. I really don't think you're going to have to sign him to much money. So there are definitely an interesting mix of players that Portland should be looking for, or is going to be looking for. Personally, I'm hoping that Portland gets a little bit more size. That is something I've kind of realized all season with Portland, is especially without Nurkic. Before you acquired Eubanks and when Nurkic was on the bench, there was nothing at the rim. Like they could not stop anything at the rim. They're even just rebounding, they couldn't get many rebounds. Teams were basically just mousing Portland anytime Nurkic was off the floor. And so, Nurkic, he had a huge impact whenever he was. He had even just his presence alone in the paint was enough usually. But, I think of guys like TJ Warren, Jeremy Grant, like I don't view either of those players as rebounders, especially Jeremy Grant and TJ Warren. They're both equally not rebounders. So maybe that's why you go for a guy like Bridges. It's going to cost. It's going to cost you probably a max contract. It's going to cost you a pretty penny. So there would have to be some moving around as far as the roster goes with salaries. But I would expect Portland to. I think they'll make a big time splash. A guy like Grant, a guy like Warren, a guy like Bridges, and then I think that they will make more low key moves. Just a handful of low-key moves where you're going out and you're getting a rebounder, you're getting a backup center, you're getting a backup power forward, whatever they decide to do. I think it's going to be a pretty active offseason for Portland. So I wouldn't be surprised if they use those first-round draft picks to try and acquire somebody. But like I said, the way they've been losing in tremendous fashion. Like they are retooling literally perfectly. This is how you retool. This is how you retool a season. You don't need to do 5-year rebuilds anymore. You just need to tank for one season. And if Portland gets, like, say you got a top 5 pick. I made my last Portland video. I saw a mock draft where they got the 2nd pick and they got Jabari. It's like, could you imagine that? That would be deadly. So there's a lot of optimism for me as far as the Portland Trail Blazers go. Blazers, I would love to hear from you guys down below in the comment section. Rip City, show a lot of love. So thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button, hit that sub button for more, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.